All right, good afternoon, everybody. It's KB5 MIQ, big boy. Want to start a video. I'm probably going to do in two parts. We're going to talk about VHF film repeaters and their use. I can see a lot of new hams that ask a lot of questions about that. And a couple of guys I'm in the round table with, W5DLX, WD5HKV, suggested that I'll do the next video talking about FM repeaters. Me and HKV talked about that last night. So probably going to make a two-part one on this, and we'll get into a little bit in a minute. But I want to show you something. I know this is going to be reversed. I haven't mastered the art of filming yet. But I got a card, QSL card in the mail from Kilo Delta 2, Delta Kilo Bravo. Thank you. You guys hit me a card thanking me for my videos. He said he enjoys them, and I appreciate that. This card's going on the wall. Thanks a lot. A lot of new hams starting out, especially like we all did. A lot of us did, especially myself and HKV and DLX. All of us started out on a budget doing this hobby. And a lot of guys getting their technician ticket right off the bat now. And most of them are getting one of these, the Baofeng radio. This is the 8-watt version of the UV5R. They got a little different model number on it, but it looks the same as the UV5R. Works great. A lot of hams hate them. You'll hear people trash them constantly, but $35 to $50, depending on which one you get. For a starting out radio, I give $200 for a dual band talkie back in 2000. It was way harder to program, wasn't a bit better radio than that one there is. So I don't use a talkie a lot, but they're fun to use, fun to have, especially for emergencies, things like that. The FM repeater, VHF repeater. There's several different things about them. They're put up by generally a ham club. It's the ones who sponsor the repeaters. They raise the money to put them on the air, and generally they get put on existing commercial towers. Some hams have actually had their repeaters on their own towers. I know the one we used to have here in Red River County, we had it on a commercial tower. One of our hams owned a commercial business, airwaves business, and we used his tower to put our repeater on. So the higher the repeater, the better it is. It gives you a lot better coverage. And the main thing is what repeaters do, they take these and extend the range out of them. So if you're looking at a 8-watt radio on normal terrain, you might get a couple of miles maybe. You could get further if you're in a desert or a salt flat, but you take typical northeast Texas terrain, trees, hills, probably a couple of miles ground wave is probably all you'll get out of one of them. And that's talkie to talkie on the ground. But you got to realize this, you take a repeater, and like use one for instance that we used to have in Red River County, was 330 foot in the air. And it was located in a higher part of Red River County. And I could sit in my living room at the house I used to live in, use talking with full quiet in the repeater, worked great. This one I can hit several repeaters out in the yard on, and I can work a couple of local repeaters from in the house. But what that does is it makes your 2-mile talkie now a 25 to 50-mile talkie, depending on the range of the repeater. It helps extend your range out, especially if you're using a mobile rig, even further. One of my earlier videos, I talked about doing emergency communications during an ice storm. There was a repeater over here at Mount Pleasant that was 1,100 feet in the air. It was called a wide coverage repeater in the repeater book. I was able to put a mobile in my house on low power on a battery and ran it for 2 weeks, relaying information for the local fire department. If you get the repeater book, they publish them. You can order you one, or that's on my phone, so I can't show it to you on my phone. But the repeater book app, there's an app that's really helpful that you can get and download it and turn the location on it, and wherever you're at, it'll tell you. You can set it for 10 miles to 50 miles. It'll tell you every repeater in that area, frequency, offset, and any PL tones that goes in them. Now, 2 meter band plan is a 600 kilohertz offset, which means the output frequency is, say, 146.84, and that's a negative offset, and it'll tell you in the repeater book. The band plan for Texas is pretty much the even 146s are negative, 147s are positive. So all that means is when you key the mic and you have it programmed for that repeater, your radio automatically offsets the transmit frequency, and then the repeater repeats it out on the output frequency is what you receive it on. I'm going to break that down in a diagram for my next video. I haven't got time to make it up for today. But it's a real simple operation. They're a great tool to have around. A lot of people hold nets on them. A lot of people rag chew on them. That's great. Whatever you want to do with them, that's fine. I don't recommend doing a long rag chew on a repeater because you're just tying it up so somebody else can't use it. Some repeaters have voice IDs on them. Their repeater has to ID every so many minutes, and I believe it's every 10 minutes. And you'll hear a computer-generated voice come on and say, this is the, I'll just use my call sign, KB5 MIQ repeater. It doesn't have to be voice. It can be Morse code. So if you're talking or listening to a repeater, all of a sudden you hear a string of Morse code come by, that's going to be the call sign and ID of the repeater, which is perfectly legal in the FCC rulebook. There's a lot of repeaters out there not getting a lot of use now. So don't get discouraged if you get on a repeater and don't hear anything. I just recently drove about a 250-mile trip across North Texas, and I had repeaters programmed in every town I went through, major town I went through, and I only had one QSO. And every town I went through, I had an active repeater on it, but there's not that many people on them all the time. Nighttime there is, during people running nets there are. But like I said, don't get discouraged on that. They're a great thing to have, especially with weather. If you got bad weather, if you don't want to actually participate in the Skywarn, find the station that they're doing it on and listen to it. Might save your life when storms coming on. There's all kinds of talkies out there. You can spend more money on a talkie. Go buy one of the big three, ASU, ICOM, or Kenwood. They're great. It just costs you a little more money. They can be programmed manually, or they can be programmed through Chirp. I highly recommend using Chirp software. I'm kind of rambling here a little bit. I got to start writing some of this stuff down so I remember to keep it in order. The repeater book tells you what local repeaters they are. There's also UHF repeaters that use a different offset. And repeaters are put into that band plan, and I can't remember the exact word that goes in there gets it into that repeater book. That way there's no problems with there's a word I'll know it. Maybe I'll remember it in the next video. Maybe Jeff can remind me of it next time we talk on the radio. But that way, if you go with the band plan and with the repeater book, nobody has a repeater that's interfering with somebody else's repeater. And I'll give you a good answer to that. Our repeater we put up back in the 90s, the guy actually put it on the Oklahoma band plan channel. We was on 147.21, which is not as odd for Texas. It's not supposed to be used in Texas. We're supposed to stay on even splits, even channels, I believe. But we wasn't around anybody. We didn't have it categorized with repeater book. I know there's another word for that, and I can't remember. Somebody leave me a comment, and I'll correct myself in the next video. But the repeater worked great. I mean, absolutely perfect. Quiet. You could hit it forever. Well, one of the hams got us put in the repeater book. So what they put us in is 147.20. So we had to change the frequency. Well, when we went to 147.20, we immediately started having problems because that was about the time PL tones started coming into play more and more on repeaters. And radios started coming with PL tone boards in them. we were hanging up a repeater. A repeater out of Dallas was on the same repeater pair. But they were hanging ours up. We didn't have ours PL tone, so we had to put PL tone board on it to where would enter different PL tones that won't access it. And that's what the PL tone does. If the repeater, say, is on 147.20 with a positive 600 offset, which means you'd be transmitting on 147.80, if you didn't have the PL tone programmed in, the repeater wouldn't hear it. The PL tone is what actually turns the repeater on to let the transmission go through it. Hope that makes sense. I'm going to go into this a little more depth on my next video. I appreciate everybody who subscribed. We enjoy doing these. We're just trying to promote our hobby. Everybody stay with the hobby. DX has been pretty good on 17 the last week or so. I've been able to get in here. Made a few contacts, waiting on some cards, and really enjoying getting back on, enjoying hearing the bands picking back up. I hope 10 picks up pretty quick. Made a couple 10-meter contacts the last couple of weeks. Been doing better on 17. Anyway, y'all have a great day. Part 2 of this VHF repeater video will be coming out pretty quick. This is KB5MIQ. Thanks everybody who subscribed. Look me up on QRZ. Drop me an email. Leave me a comment. Pass the word. Subscribe to the channel. KB5MIQ, Big Boy 73.